Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the British Tier 8 Premium Medium tank, the FV4202P. Now this is a tank that has been Powercrept a lot. It's a tank that hasn't actually really, I don't think it actually has changed since they released it a long time ago. Back when they actually removed the original FV4202, way before they re-added it, you know. It's a tank that hasn't been touched, and to be honest, it poses the question, right? Tanks can be power-crept without being bad tanks, right? Because I don't necessarily think this tank is that bad. I think it's actually pretty decent. But there is so many tanks out there these days now, since it came out, that do the same job, but way better. Does that make the tank bad? No, well, no. I think a bad tank is a tank like the Bayer, right? Where you have to put ungodly amounts of effort to get even the most bang average of games out of a tank, right? And this tank, you don't really have to do that. This tank sort of just chugs along like a steady eddy, because the gun's pretty damn nice, like it is in every other British medium tank that runs the 20-pounder. The turret armour is bouncy at its own tier, degrading as it goes up. It still can be pretty bouncy, but not reliably so. The mobility on it is... it's okay, 50 kilometers an hour. It's better than it used to be. I think that's probably one of the things that did change, but yeah, it's still quite slow for a medium tank. But to be honest, that's nothing really that different for a lot of the British mediums, is it? 50 kilometers an hour. And the DPM is nowadays pretty slow. A 5-point-second reload for this 20-pounder is actually, it feels pretty slow. While it is quite quick, you're talking this tank has 7.5 rounds a minute, when a lot of the Centurions, except for like literally probably the Tech Tree Centurion and the Huntsman, all the others like the 751 and the Atomic and the SDRV81 / Primo Victoria are all 8 rounds a minute or more. And they do the same as this tank, right? They have that similar mobility. They have pretty much the same gun with pretty much the same gun handling, but they have bouncier, more reliable turrets. So why would you pick up the FV4202? And that's the reason it's power-crept, right? Because these tanks have been released way after it, and they do the same job but better. Doesn't make the FV4202 a bad tank. It doesn't make it incapable of being able to compete and actually do pretty well, especially if you know how to play it right. It just means that you could do so much better with so many of the other tanks, right? And you just have to work that little bit harder with it to get the same results as all the other tanks. That's it, not necessarily a bad tank. I mean, a power-crept tank doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It just means that there's a lot more tanks that came out after it that do the same but better. Power creep is what it is. But I kind of like it, but I do wish it would get some love. I mean, it's one of those tanks, right? I feel like it should probably have the tier 10's turret armour so that it can be reliably hulled down, and that can be its niche. And then maybe buff the rate of fire up to like 8 rounds a minute like a lot of the other 20-pounders. And then you've got a tank that's probably decent enough, right? But who knows? I don't know what anyone else thinks about this tank. I just think that sort of more solid turret armour with the slightly better DPM would be a good thing for it. And yeah, this series as well is one that I think I've made one video on a tank, and it was the T54 Mod 1 or something like that, maybe. Yeah, I think it was the T54 Mod 1. And I never really made any more. So I'm going to ask you guys as well to put what tanks you think are power-crept in the comments, and you might see a video on it. I might start playing it and trying to make a video, try and make this series a bit bigger, encompass more, and see if we can draw attention to some of those tanks, right, that just need love. And naturally, if I agree, or necessarily, actually, it won't be just me, I'll probably be talking to people going, hey, someone said this is power-crept, do you think so? You're probably talking to Swindle, Randy, etc, etc. And, we'll talk it out. And if we all think, yeah, that probably is power-crept, and I'll try and make a video on it, etc. It won't be just me judging it and going, nah, that's not power-crept. But yeah, so because what the thing is, you guys might draw attention to tanks that I completely forget about, right? Because I own pretty much every tank in World War II in my garage, so there's lots of tanks that I probably overlook. You might point something out and I go, oh yeah, yeah, that's a tank, isn't it? Yeah, okay. And we'll look it over. You know, it is what it is. So yeah, the FV4202, what kind of crew do I run on this old school tank? I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun. I run all the gun perks to make sure this gun is as good as possible, because it's one of the things of the tank that is a fabulous feature, and I just want to make sure it's good. And that also helps me to not run vert stabs, just making the gun as good as possible like that. And the camouflage, because, well, I'm a medium tank, and it's quite nice to have camouflage at times. In terms of equipment, I sort of change it out. It's down to you. It's down to how you want to play it. I run rammer, vents, and optics. Rammer to make the DPM as good as possible. Vents to make everything on the tank as good as possible, like the DPM. And optics to make my view range as good as humanly possible. Now, again, it's completely down to you how you set up that tank. You could drop the vents and put camouflage net on it. You could drop the optics and put vert stabs on if you wanted to, if the gun annoys you enough. But this gun is fabulous enough. You don't really need the vert stabs. It's down to you, but that's the setup I run. And in this first game that you've just seen in the background, we played on Westfield. We pushed K0, managed to get 6.5k spotting with 2k damage with the Ace Tanker and 1844 base XP in a tier 9 game. Really nice game for the FV4202P. That game pretty much summed up why, if you get that spawn we got, which is the worst spawn of Westfield, if you're in something mobile enough, like the FV4202 is, you know, 50 kilometers an hour, it's no slouch, you push straight to K0, cut off their attack, and if you have enough people backing you up to stop them attacking that K0 position as well, because, you know, it does depend. It's one of those plays that can result in all or nothing, right? You push K0, you go there, two or three of you go, and then find out that 6 of their tanks have charged it, and you die. Or like that game, they had 3 tanks push, but we had enough people shooting that really stopped them and put them off, and we managed to get into the corner, get hull down, and pummel them with our DPM. That K0 position, especially from our spawn, if you attack that flank, is so important. Because if you take it, you can spot their whole line that sit and camp on that area. And if you've got enough shooters, they'll get absolutely blapped. Especially if you've got artillery. It's a really good position to push. But like I say, it can be really all or nothing and really feast or famine. So we're in the second game. In the second game, we are on Overlord. And it's encounter, which means quite a few people have spawned on the beach, and that can lead to a bad time sometimes. And so far, we've managed to get 2 shots in. We're just trying to help this light tank out as much as humanly possible, but unfortunately the Awful Panther was stuck in a really bad situation there. He actually got rammed by a light tank, and I think he lost most of his health, but he ended up doing most of the health to the light tank as well. And now this T-37's just rammed that HWK-12. We managed to shut down the HWK-12 and help him out. The T-37's running away. It's like, no, Mr. T-37, you can't get away from this. Okay, no, I don't want to get shot by TDs at the back. I'm not going to chase you around that corner because that could end badly. But we do end up spotting a crafty Panther at the back, so we get a nice shot into him. And we're just going to see if we can get another shot in. And that's where the gun is so fabulous, right? Those sorts of shots, it just hits. It's beautiful. So now we're on the ridge line, which is where we want to be in the FV4202, and we have a T-54E2 chasing us and coming after us. That's not comfortable, because that tank is so goddamn good. Fortunately enough for me, he is bouncing on my turret armor. He's firing standard, which makes my turret armor a lot better against that, because the turret armor starts to become fallible against like 250 pen, right, 240 pen, which there's quite a lot of tier 8s have as their premium ammunition. Same as the tier 9s have that for their standard and tier 10s, etc. But it's got those sorts of angles, just like the standard FV4202, where, you know, if you're on a ridgeline, you're fully hulled down using all your gun depression, and you keep moving. Angles, right? Just like a Batchat has no armor, but somehow blocks damage. It's the same thing. It'll just ricochet off your turret if you catch it right, which is nice. And the T-54E2 has the problem that, while he is hulled down and he has that absolutely fabulous autoloader, he has a giant cupola on top of his tank, and we absolutely just murdered that guy's cupola while he managed to ricochet some of his shots on our turret. Now we've got this artillery tracked. By the way, I loved that shot on that GW Panther. That was one of those that you go, you have that idea in your head, you see it in your head, you know what you want to do, and it just comes off, where the first shot went straight into the drive wheel, tracked him in place. And we managed to farm all of his hit points even though he got unspotted. So always great when that works. But yeah, now we're basically on the move, and I'm looking at this like, okay, the Craft Panther just got a shot into me, but that artillery has to die. Artie's always got to die. We managed to shut down the artillery. Now the Craft Panther's spotted in the open. We're just going to start putting shots into him. I was not that concerned about the 2 light tanks and helping them, because there was 2 of them against that 1-4-1-6, and I was like, they're going to kill that guy. Unfortunately, 1 light tank did end up getting shut down by him, though, but we did manage to get rid of that guy. I'm just looking for a shot into the back of the Crafty. Couldn't quite see it because he was behind a building. Unfortunately, we don't quite get the kill on him. But in that fast and furious brawl that we just had, we managed to get 5.1k damage, 5 kills. Really nice game so far for the FV4202, and there is 1 tank left. Like I say, when you get in that situation where this tank can be hulled down, you can try and ricochet shots off your turret, and you get to work this fabulous gun, it can be pretty damn nice to use. Like I say, you just sort of left with questioning, going, I could have a Centurion, I could have an Atomic or a Centurion 5-1 and be doing exactly the same thing, but better, and probably not taking quite as much damage either. Power creep. Right here, we end up ramming the E25, and this is where I go, uh-oh. But fortunately enough, he ends up bouncing his shot, and I finish off the E25. We actually lost more HP than I thought I was going to lose against that E25, but we managed to secure the kill on that guy, get the 6th kill of the game. Ace Tanker, the Pascucci, Steel Wall, Top Gun, Sniper Medal, 2,234 base XP, a really great game for the FV4202P. A tank that is... It's a pretty decent medium tank. It's not like it's a horrific tank, it's just... There are so many other tanks out there that do the same thing but better. And you can't help but wish that small things about the FV4202 were buffed, like the turret, etc. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.